Good morning. Morning. It's 10:02. We have quorum. I'm filling in for Ami and Seth today, who are not here. So your fearless leader today, marshaling us along through the agenda. Anyone have any announcements? First thing?
I do. Seth and Adam are going to do a short presentation on the WQMA and the Owaska Lake 90 Coordination Committee at the legislative meeting in July.
Your date?
I had the date.
July 22nd. It'll be at 6 o'clock. Presentations are usually at the beginning of the meeting.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
We're giving 10 minutes. Yeah.
Good.
Five minutes per topic, so.
Have a handout.
It's gonna be a fun challenge.
I made the presentation, so it's short.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, let's talk about minutes. Everyone had a chance to review them. Any correction, changes? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Dan, thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Don't have any new business, do we? Anyone have anything? Amazing. Love it. All right. On to our presentation today. Grayson's here. As you can see on your agenda, she's going to give us an update on monitoring of water quality in Cayuga Lake watersheds with volunteers.
Ryan, can you see that okay?
Also brought propaganda, kidding, educational materials. If anybody would like some, I'll just pass the stack around and you don't have to take it if you don't want to, but want some to share with your networks you want to take. Okay. How do you want me?
Okay, wherever you want to go, I'll tell it away.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for having me here today. I really love coming here because I actually live in Cayuga County, so it's so nice to have something that I don't have to drive that far to go to. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Grayson Scheidemantel, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Science Institute. Today, I'll be giving you some background about CSI and updating you on our 3 volunteer water quality monitoring programs, and then I'll have some time for any questions you might have for me at the end. So first off, Community Science Institute. For those of you who don't know us, Community Science Institute, or CSI, is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we're also a state-certified water testing lab. We're certified by the Department of Health through the Environmental Laboratory Approval Program. We're located in Ithaca, but we serve the entire Cayuga Lake watershed and some of the surrounding watersheds as well. Our mission at CSI is to inspire and empower communities to safeguard water resources by cultivating scientific literacy through volunteer water quality monitoring, certified laboratory analyses, and education. At CSI, we have 3 main types of programming. We have volunteer water monitoring partnerships, which is largely what I'll be talking about today, outreach and education about water science, and we also offer fee-for-service water testing for folks from the general public, to our business owners, folks who need water testing done for regulatory purposes. We're there. We're a relatively small team of just 9 people. There's myself, the executive director, our laboratory director who oversees all of our lab operations, Adriana Hertler, who oversees our biomonitoring program. Alyssa Johnson oversees our outreach and also our harmful algal bloom monitoring program. We have 2 water quality scientists, Seth and Dan. Katya runs our front desk, and Brahma and Bill help out with all things database. At CSI, we have 3 main monitoring partnerships. We have our Synoptic Stream and Lake Monitoring Program, where volunteers collect samples of water from local streams or lakeshore zones, and then bring them to our lab for analyses. We have our Cayuga Lake Harmful Algal Bloom Monitoring Program, where volunteers monitor their designated shoreline zone and report HABs to CSI. And we have our biomonitoring program, where volunteers collect samples of benthic macroinvertebrates to get a sense of the ecological health of streams. And I have sort of a 4th program type, which is other projects that come up as need and interests arise. In 2024, we retired our former red flag monitoring program where volunteers did analyses stream side. So instead of collecting samples and sending them to the lab, they did the analyses stream side for basic parameters like total hardness, conductivity, dissolved oxygen, and they sent results to us instead of samples. We did retire that program at the end of 2024, but we are using it to inform future projects. So one example is we're partnering with folks in the Upper Susquehanna River watershed to monitor water quality in locations that might be good candidates for native brook trout reintroduction. So that's just one of the ways we're repurposing that old program. Okay, next I'm going to go into more detail about our synoptic stream and lake monitoring program specifically in Cayuga County. So the purpose of this program is to produce regulatory quality stream and lake water chemistry data. Because we are a state certified water testing lab, we are able to produce that regulatory quality data. This data can inform water resource management decisions as well as keep the public generally informed on the state of their local water resources. In this program, volunteers are specifically monitoring water quality for nutrients, sediment, bacteria, salt, and other general water quality indicators like pH, hardness, alkalinity, turbidity, and conductivity. The way this program works is we split volunteers up into teams, and within those teams, they are assigned a designated tributary or a group of tributaries. They then collect samples from their designated monitoring locations 3 times each year, attempting to get 2 base flow and 1 stormwater event. We then analyze those samples in our lab and post the results on our public water quality database. In Cayuga County, we have volunteers monitoring Yager Creek, Great Gully Creek, Deans, Paynes, Mill, Town Line, and Salmon Creek. And we even have one monitoring location in the Fall Creek watershed in Cayuga County as well. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Cayuga County because this monitoring is made possible because of support from the county. So there's so much data I could show you from this program. And so what I decided to do is do an update of what I showed you last year and show you results for nitrate plus nitrite nitrogen and total phosphorus on Cayuga County streams and how they compare to the rest of the streams in the Cayuga Lake watershed. So that's what we'll take a look at next. So this graph here has the different Cayuga County tributaries on the x-axis, and then the median nitrate nitrite concentration on the y-axis. Blue are all of the Cayuga County tributaries, and this orange represents all the streams in the Cayuga Lake watershed. And so to make it easier, I've ordered them from lowest to highest, and then all streams in the Cayuga Lake watershed on the right for comparison. This pink line down here at the bottom represents the Hudson Basin River Watch guidance value for a healthy stream of 1 milligram per liter. This is not an enforceable limit. It's just a general guideline to understand what's healthy, what's not, more of a reference value than anything else. Yeah, Keith. Okay. Let me go back. Yes, it's a very tiny creek right here. That's this one right here.
Oh, we can't see.
Oh, you can't see me.
Can't see your cursor.
So this one is Town Line Creek, and this one is Mill Creek.
And land.
Yeah. And the mouth of this is at the Finger Lakes Land Trust, the Belltown Preserve for Town Line.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Okay. The second standard that I've put on here is in purple. It's the drinking water standard, but it's only enforceable for Class A, so 10 milligrams per liter. So as you can see from this graph, the median nitrate plus nitrite concentration is higher than this 1 milligram per liter reference value for all of these streams. That's not entirely unexpected. We do tend to see that the nitrate levels are higher on the east shore of the lake compared to the west shore. Notably, the thing that stands out most to me are the results for Deans, Town Line, and Mill Creek, which tend to have much higher nitrate plus nitrite concentrations than the other tributaries. In fact, this Mill Creek had really high levels this year. In all of the Cayuga Lake watershed data that we collected this year, Mill Creek at Belltown Road, specifically that location, had the highest nitrate concentration that we saw in the whole data set, 27.1 milligrams per liter. That was the max for that one. So what's represented here is the median, so the value that falls in the middle. And this was in November of last year. And this was also the highest level we've ever seen at that site as well. So next, I'm going to shift to phosphorus. So this graph looks very similar to the last one, except instead of looking at nitrate plus nitrate, we're looking at total phosphorus on the y-axis. The pink value here is the DEC's guidance value that was used for the Cayuga Lake TMDL. That's 20 micrograms per liter. However, I had to update this for this year because recently DEC put out a proposed guidance value specifically for flowing waters in our ecoregion of 75 micrograms per liter. So I have that graphed here in purple up at the top. Here we can see that the median concentration of total phosphorus is higher than this 20 microgram per liter guidance value on all of the tributaries except salmon. And when we look at this higher guidance value that was recently proposed by DEC, only Yager, Deans, and Town Line Creek's median values exceed that. So I like to give you multiple guidance values to look at so you can decide which one you like better or which one makes more sense in the context that you're working in. And compared to the other streams in the Cayuga Lake watershed, the Salmon Creek does fall below the median and the other ones are above the median. Now, one thing I want to point out is that I used the median for these graphs. You can, of course, use averages. When I looked at the nitrate data, I graphed the averages as well, and they were pretty similar. The streams were ordered in the exact same way. I like medians because when you have really high concentrations, it can artificially inflate that summary value that you're trying to get to. So I went with a median here because Salmon Creek has two locations, Center Road and Sherwood Road, that routinely have elevated levels of phosphorus, but all of the other monitoring locations that we have on Salmon Creek tend to have relatively low phosphorus. So I felt that this was a better summary. I'm sharing this to be transparent because if you ever go look at our database, you'll see total phosphorus is much higher on those locations that might be reflected by the median here. One last note about total phosphorus on Cayuga County streams. We saw that the location Yager Creek at Cork and Town Line Road had the second highest total phosphorus result in our 2024 data set. So this is for the whole watershed. It had a value of 632 micrograms per liter back in July of last year. And it's the second highest. The first highest was a location that we monitor at the outfall of the Trumansburg wastewater treatment facility. If you think, wow, I love data, that was so fun, I would really like to be able to dig into that more on my own, you can do that on our public water quality database. All of the data that I've shown you and more than 20 years worth of water quality data are available to view on our database. On our database, you can look at changes in water quality across space and across time. If there's time at the end, I'd be glad to walk anybody through how to use the database if you have questions about it. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the talk of the town right now, which is our Cayuga Lake Harmful Algal Bloom Monitoring Program. And it's the talk of the town because if you've been keeping up with HABS reports, you will know that Tuesday and Wednesday were really bad days for Cayuga Lake in terms of harmful algal blooms. These are just 3 photos, but we received over 24 harmful algal bloom reports in the last 2 days. They're not even all up on our database yet because we're just trying to catch up with all of them. I've included some photos of the ones that we've received from the last couple of days. I will say, luckily for Cayuga County, most of the harmful algal blooms were not in this county. They were in mostly Seneca County, and then towards the end of the day yesterday, they started to pop up at the southern portion of the lake in Tompkins County, and we'll see what happens today. The way we run our Cayuga Lake harmful algal bloom monitoring program is really a partnership between Community Science Institute and 2 other local organizations that we regularly partner with, the Cayuga Lake Watershed Network and Discover Cayuga Lake. Community Science Institute is responsible for the monitoring part of the program. And we get help from Cayuga Lake Watershed Network because every week they put out a weekly newsletter that basically summarizes all of the data that we found from that given week. And we also partner with Discover Cayuga Lake. They help provide outreach and education to folks who are visiting and on their cruises about harmful algal blooms. And they're also keeping an eye out on the open water for harmful algal blooms as well. The purpose of this program is to collect actionable data on these cyanobacteria blooms, protect public health, and relay bloom information and testing results quickly and efficiently through our public database. The way the program works is we have volunteers that we call HABs Harriers because they have a keen eye like a harrier hawk. They perform their weekly shoreline surveys for harmful algal blooms on Cayuga Lake. If they see a bloom, they then report it to CSI via our HABs hotline or our online reporting form. If relevant, I have an asterisk next to this for this year, they'll collect a sample that's then analyzed in CSI's lab, and we then alert the public to HABs. And so when I say alert the public, what I mean is we let the county health departments know who fund the program, we alert the DEC, and we put the bloom on our harmful algal bloom database. When we get a sample in our lab, we're specifically looking at the following things. First, we want to know, are there cyanobacteria present? And if so, what type of cyanobacteria? So in Cayuga Lake, we tend to see blooms dominated by microcystis at the top and delicospermum at the bottom. Interestingly, we see these seasonal dynamics with bloom composition, where earlier in the season, blooms tend to be dominated more by the delicospermum, and then later in the season, they tend to be dominated more by the microcystis, which I think is really interesting. The other thing we're looking for in these samples is to measure chlorophyll A, which gives us a sense of the density of the bloom, and we're also measuring microcystin to get a sense of the toxicity of the bloom. As I mentioned before, all of the bloom information is uploaded to our Cayuga Lake HABs database, and we report these blooms to county health department officials and the DEC. So I want to give you a little snapshot of the 2024 harmful algal bloom monitoring season. There's also an article all about this in this water bulletin with the big HAB on the front. This map on the right shows you where all of the harmful algal blooms occurred on Cayuga Lake in 2024, with the colors corresponding to toxicity levels. On this graph here, on the x-axis, we have the monitoring year, and the y-axis reflects the number of harmful algal bloom reports we received. The red sections of the bars represent any harmful algal blooms that had microcystin levels above the contact recreation limit of 4 micrograms per liter. Yellow is anything less than the drinking water limit of 0.3 micrograms per liter, and orange is anything that falls in the middle of those. Gray on the graph and blue on the map represents samples that, or harmful algal blooms that we were not able to get samples from. As you can see from this graph here, we had a lot of harmful algal blooms in 2024. You maybe didn't need a map or a graph to know that. It was a pretty bad year. But this is the data to back it up. We had 127 HAB reports, which is the most we have ever received. Another thing you can glean from this graph is how thick the red bars are, how tall they are, I should say. Most years, what we find is more than 50% of the blooms that we sample have microcystin toxin levels above the contact recreation limit. So that guidance that the DEC gives, see it, avoid it, report it, staying away from any harmful algal blooms, there's good data to back that up. More than 50% of them are toxic. And last year, 71% of the blooms measured had microcystin levels above the safe recreation limit. We also had the earliest and the latest HABs reported to us last year. Our first HAB reported to us last year was on June 3rd, and the last one reported was on October 28th. Here's sort of an overview of how the HABs popped up on the lake by month. So June, it was early for us last year. There were only a few HABs. Started to pick up more in July. Then August and September really hit us hard. And then it started to peter off a little bit into October. It's going to be really interesting to compare last year to this year. This is one of the great things you can do on our database because already, just skip to the next slide so you can see it. This is a snapshot on the, let's see, the left of the recent HAB reports we got. And I did this yesterday afternoon when I was putting this presentation together. This is already exploded quite a bit more. And you can see just how much the bloom has expanded. So really what we saw probably over the last 2 days was almost a lake-wide bloom on Cayuga Lake, which is reflected there by all of those pins going down in a nice straight line. And in probably a few hours, once we get the reports up there, you'll be able to see it start to spin around the southern part of the lake. On our harmful algal bloom database, you can check this regularly to stay up to date on HABs, specifically on Cayuga Lake. If you're interested in Cayuga Lake, this is the fastest way to get that information. It usually takes DEC a few days to get their reports up on the NIHABs map, but if you're going out to go swimming or boating out on the lake and you want to know what the conditions are, this is the fastest way to get that information. Not
The lake and then it's like that, is it, from the time you get the results
Mhm.
until it's posted is what?
So usually it's almost instantaneously. We have somebody sitting there, like that's her job is to take those in during work hours. So it usually only takes a few minutes. But when we're getting overloaded like this, I mean, it takes a long time to get through them, but it is usually about 24 hours maximum for us to get it up there. Not only can you view recent HABs on our database, you can also look at historic trends in HABs as well. So what you see right here is a graph from one of our segment pages. And I have a screenshot of the map as well. So if you want to look at a specific area, maybe a place that you like to recreate on the lake, or maybe an area where you're doing a restoration project and you want to understand what HABs are like there, you could go to that shoreline segment and see where the harmful algal blooms have been reported, get a sense of their toxin levels. And then based on this graph here, you can even see what year and month we tend to see harmful algal blooms pop up on these shoreline segments. And just like the Streams and Lakes database, if anybody needs a little tour or tutorial of it, I'd be happy to give that at the end. Finally, I just want to wrap up with some updates. I had put a little asterisk next to our volunteers collect a sample and submit it to the lab. This year, in collaboration with the 3 county health departments that fund the program, we have made the decision to cut back on sampling every single HAB that's reported to us. As you saw, there were 127 HAB reports last year, and it's really just beyond our capacity to be able to sample every single bloom at this point. So what's been decided is monitoring shoreline surveillance will always continue for as much Cayuga Lake shoreline as possible. However, specifically sampling will only take place at 14 priority locations that were identified in collaboration with the county health departments. And you can see them reflected here on this map. So as I said, this is partly because of resource strains in terms of the cost of testing and the time that goes in specifically to the microcystin test. It's very time consuming and the samples have a very short hold time. Once a volunteer collects a sample, they have 48 hours to get it to us. And for folks who live in the village of Cayuga or in Seneca Falls, they don't want to drive the sample all the way to Ithaca. So it also addresses some issues of volunteer fatigue, where we've had some volunteers on the northern end kind of say, this is too much work for me. I don't want to sample anymore. So this is helping to address that. Also, from a scientific perspective, our HABs data tend to show the same thing every year from the lab analyses. We tend to see the bloom composition being the same year to year. We tend to see the toxicity levels throughout the lake being similar year to year. Relationships between chlorophyll A and microcystin toxin are relatively consistent year to year. So from a scientific perspective, we felt like it wasn't necessary to continue to collect that quantity of data. However, to make sure that those trends are staying consistent, we will be having the priority site samples to sort of serve as a backup. If we see that those results are starting to differ from past years, then maybe we'll reconsider sampling more blooms in the future. And finally, the last piece I want to say about this, the CSI is one of the only groups in New York State that's continuing to sample harmful algal blooms. DEC doesn't do this. They just look at photos, and that is what they use to determine whether a bloom is confirmed or not. Whether you agree with that or not, that's up for you to decide. But we have been going above and beyond for many years. And so now we're trying to match more what other lake groups are doing. Okay, that's harmful algal blooms. Let's talk about something a little bit more fun, which is biomonitoring. This is one of my favorite programs. I was originally a biologist, so I love this program. In this program, we're looking to determine the ecological health of streams while also educating our community members about local aquatic biodiversity. So the way this program works is volunteers collect samples of benthic macroinvertebrates or stream bugs, like your mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies, from local streams. And then in the winter, we allow volunteers the opportunity to participate in data analysis by sifting through those samples and learning how to ID the organisms present in the sample. Whenever we're counting the number of mayflies, stoneflies, caddisflies, you name it, riffle beetles, we're trying to determine these metrics listed here. I'm not going to go into all of them, but essentially they're different measurements to understand how ecologically healthy the stream is. And we give it a score from non-impacted to severely impacted. These results are not currently available on our database, but we're really hoping by the end of the summer they will be. Instead, we have spreadsheets available on our website where you can see summaries since 2011 of our biomonitoring data. I wanted to share a little bit of biomonitoring data with you all from Cayuga County specifically. Last year, I showed you some data from Yager Creek, and this year I want to show you some data from Salmon Creek. So this monitoring location is technically at Myers Point, so not in Cayuga County, but it is a Cayuga County stream. It runs through Cayuga County. So what we see, this data is from 2023, but we did repeat the process in 2024, but we're still compiling the results. So stay tuned for that. Typically, what we tend to see is that this site on Salmon Creek shows a slight impact for all of the metrics that we're measuring: family richness, percent model affinity, and the overall biological assessment profile value, which is that sort of summary value. If you wanted one value to take away, that's the one I would look at. Also, in 2024, we collected a BMI sample from Grout Brook in the Skaneateles watershed as well. So I'm really excited to be able to share those results with you as soon as they are available. Also, getting into other watersheds, we were really excited to have been invited this year to attend Lake Friendly Living Awareness Day, hosted by AULA and the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council. Our biomonitoring coordinator, Adriana, collected a live BMI sample from Sucker Brook and brought it to Emerson Park for folks to sift through and learn about the organisms. And we're going to be analyzing that sample just like the other ones. So that will become part of our data set as well. So I'm really excited. That will be probably next spring when you'll see those results, because we'll host an open lab where volunteers can come in and sift through the samples. For Owasco Lake Watershed folks, we should definitely coordinate. Maybe we can get some volunteers to our lab, or even move the lab closer to you all. All right, and so now I'm just going to wrap up a little bit with some acknowledgements. I just want to thank first and foremost the volunteers. All of the data that you've seen so far would not be possible if it weren't for the work of over 250 local volunteers in our community who make this possible. Of course, our staff and our partners and local governments, particularly Cayuga County, for supporting our harmful algal bloom monitoring program and our synoptic stream and lake monitoring program. If you want to stay in touch with me or with CSI, here's the information on how to do so. I also brought some of my cards with me today, so I'd be happy to give you one of those. And now with any time that we have left, I'd be happy to take any questions while I force you all to look at pictures of my dog, both of my dogs in Cayuga County water areas. Yeah, Keith.
I have a question about the chlorophyll A.
Yeah.
You like being this may be common knowledge for everyone, but it wasn't for me. The TDL made a big point about chlorophyll A as a surrogate for phosphorus.
Mhm.
The I was frankly ignorant about. And so, but I noticed in your thing, do you know, is that relationship, is it correlation or is it more than correlation? You look at the TMDL suggests that you could look at the amount, the levels of chlorophyll A and make a conclusion from that about the level of phosphorus. Not simply that it would indicate high, low, or medium, but much more of a direct correlation. And I've never had the opportunity to ask that, because I've never remembered when BBC was around, but do you know, is that the case? What is the relationship?
Yeah, so just to make sure I'm understanding the question, you're asking, is there a direct relationship between total phosphorus and chlorophyll A? My understanding is yes, it's not always perfectly linear though. One thing I will say when it comes to the rationale of using that connection between chlorophyll A and total phosphorus, um, when you're looking at the chlorophyll A, it's basically telling you what is the result of the phosphorus, if that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. So it can be, I see it as a helpful additional step. I think it's still important to monitor for phosphorus too.
No one is.
Uh, we are.
Are you still doing phosphorus?
Yeah. In the lake, yeah. So we do, I believe CSLAP is still doing phosphorus monitoring as well, which is distinct from the monitoring that we do. But in addition to CSLAP, CSI goes out on the lake specifically 3 times a year as part of our water quality cruises with Discover Cayuga Lake. And we collect water samples, and phosphorus and chlorophyll are both measured as part of that, both total phosphorus and soluble reactive phosphorus.
If the DEC refers to chlorophyll A as the response variable.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, they're not doing phosphorus anymore, I don't think, right?
They're not measuring it directly, no, and they're also not measuring chlorophyll A. They're meeting on groups like CSI and
Yeah,
CSI.
lots of people, well, not lots, but you guys are taking chlorophyll A regularly and not, you know, so it's, that's the point of my question.
Mhm.
Maybe that's exactly it. I could have asked you, I mean.
However I can help.
Yeah.
I will say also, we have these QR code stickers for reporting harmful algal blooms on Cayuga Lake. If you recreate on Cayuga Lake at all, and you want to stick this on your cooler, on your kayak paddle, I have a whole stack of these if anyone would like some. You'll take some. Okay, good. All right.
Great.
And
Can I have a question?
yeah.
Thanks for your presentation.
Mhm.
I'm curious about those data from Mill Creek
Mhm.
concerning the NOx
Yeah.
concentrations that were greater than the other creeks of interest,
Mhm.
as well as Yarborough Creek with the higher levels of phosphorus measured. I'm just curious whether or not you've pursued or considering pursuing correlation analyses with other watershed, subshed features for those creeks, maybe land use practices or
Yeah.
what have you.
Yeah, we would love to do that. The raw data are all available on our database. So if anybody was interested in exploring that, you can very easily download it, and it even has the coordinates now. That's a new feature. So it's very easy to use for GIS analyses. Right now, that's not expertise that we have in-house, but it is available for anybody who'd be interested to do that.
Thanks, Grace.
Well, have any other questions for Grayson? Awesome presentation. Thank you so
Yeah,
very
thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.
All right, let Michelle get set back up. And we'll roll into updates from our ad hoc committees, communication outreach. Dan, you have anything?
Just if anybody has any ideas for blog posts, keep sending those in. Aaron, did a good one, previous meeting and last meeting, on the plan for, Skinny Atlas Lake, so just send those in and, send them to Michelle. She can get those in.
Michelle, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope.
Invasive species,
I don't have anything.
nutrient and sediment.
Seth isn't here, so.
All right, moving along. We'll skip health department because Annie's not here.
Parks is not here.
Doug's not here for perks, so, oh, dang, my turn. There were a couple of quick things that I'm gonna turn it over to Michelle. One thing, planning committee tonight, and then for the full ledge, we do have a new resolution for an upgrade to our gauge station on the Owasso Inlet. Michelle and Seth worked really hard with USGS to negotiate some pricing and actually get us a better system for monitoring down there. So there'll be cameras, so we'll have live reporting on water levels, which can result in faster response if there's blockages or anything that we need to know about.
Cost additional money, so the legislature will.
It'll be covered still by FLOPA because we've received more money for FLOPA.
It's gonna be an issue.
Yeah. It's in my notes for them for tonight. And the contract, as always, still stipulates if the FLOPA money for some reason ceases to exist and we can't find another source, then we can cancel the contract. And the SGS will pull the gauge station, so as our emergency backup plan. Two things from the planning department really quick. We did have our bid opening for the countywide pre-planning BOA yesterday, the brownfield opportunity areas. So we're finishing our evaluations of those results, hoping to have someone on board by August to start that rolling. And our strategic plan project is in full swing. Tonight is meeting 3 of 3 this week for our public information kickoff meetings. We would have Evan pass these around too. We're sending around two-sided handout. It has a link to the project website as well as the first of 4 surveys, public surveys. If anyone is interested and didn't attend in Locke or at BOCES last night, we'll be at the Ira Fire Hall tonight at 6 o'clock. We'd love to see everyone. We have fun activities, including a Jeopardy style trivia game that has been a big hit the last 2 nights. It's a competition between the 3 meeting location. Michelle, what else do you have for real water quality stuff?
So our FLOPA work plan is due next week. We're getting the same amount of money next year as we got this year. We've added a residential stormwater program, education and outreach. We've added 3 invasive species boxes for Fairhaven to replace their old broken ones. And then our usual, we do ag and non-ag BMPs, the USGS gauge station on the Owasco Inlet, the Owasco Lake tributary sampling, the Owasco Lake buoy database, septic system inspection program, the aquatic vegetation harvesting, the CD3 boat station at Emerson Park, and education outreach on water quality and invasive species.
And our new pilot program.
That was the
Yeah.
stormwater.
Yeah. So I think we mentioned last month, if we didn't, Michelle and Natalie, does everybody know Natalie, by the way? Natalie is our newest planner. She's, her her time is split between land use and learning from Michelle to be the eventual backup for Michelle when she retires, never. And they're working on a pilot program that will be funded through FLOPA for residential stormwater management. We've talked with Doug a little bit about it, but education and deployment of rain barrels for private residents countywide, composting, hopefully some education and some donated materials for people who want to start rain gardens and the like. So they're working on the scope of that, hoping to be able to start that next spring. So that's the big new addition to the local work plan and budget this year. Thank you, Michelle. Doug.
All right, so the district, we're CFA sees us working on some grants for WQIP. They're due at the end of the month. We're continuing to monitor the little landslide that occurred down in Locke. A chunk of land slid down probably about 300 feet of a horseshoe, more or less. A lot of material slid down, blocked a portion of Hemlock Creek. So we're just keeping an eye on that because if it goes completely across, there's a lot of clay there, so it make an instant berm, which then has the potential to flood out some houses and stuff like that. I was down there earlier in the week and nothing's changed in the last week or so. So things are good. Or really, since it happened, it's all fairly stable. So it's also dry right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. We're overseeing it's summer, so everybody's busy and grant implementations occurring. So we got that both on the ag and non-ag. We just finished the fire lane project on Wattsville Lake, 21E. Also helped out town of Genoa, redo some road ditches and road banks after the storms that rolled through there, and Niles. So just keeping busy on all that stuff. So things are moving.
Great.
And the weather dried out, thankfully, so things are,
Right.
you can actually keep working. It's almost too dry out there now. It's crazy. But yeah, it's a good season.
We'll see what kind of storms we get this afternoon.
Crazy. Is there some coming? Oh, yeah.
There's a chance this afternoon, but
All right.
I don't want to be too dry. My God, come to that house. 50 acres of water.
Yeah, it's hit or miss out there is what we're seeing. Yeah, definitely.
How's the weed harvester doing?
Weed harvester, we're looking to move into Cayuga Lake on next week. Next week. So both boats are going good. So that's the game plan right now. We haven't been getting a lot of people calling to complain about weeds yet. So I don't know if they're just behind because it's so cold in the spring or people just know that we're on our way.
I know the hydrilla program, they were discussing the water temperatures have been so cool that the hydrilla is not coming up as early as it usually does.
Right, it was cold for a while, and now it got to be 90s. It started to get a little bit, but for the most part, things were stunted a little. It's a good thing.
thanks. Evan?
I do not have anything water quality related to report this month. So,
Any events on the horizon for solid waste?
no.
Dan, project extension?
I was gonna defer to Evan. We do have something coming up on the 22nd.
Oh, I saw
Recycling.
I saw Ryan on there. I thought he was. gonna
Oh,
talk
okay.
about it. Okay.
I couldn't tell. Hey, Ryan, do you want to talk about your recycling event?
Hi, everybody. Evan, you're so humble. Yeah, there's a couple different events coming up. I've been working with Cayuga County Planning, Evan, and a partner down in Schuyler County Planning. The three of us have been coordinating for probably 2 months on a webinar titled Recycling Right, How to Recycle Right, Navigating the Recycling Industry. We have a great group of people, including Syracuse University, New York State DEC, and Sun King, that are going to be giving a webinar on July 22nd from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. to help people just understand more about the recycling and the industry, in an effort to kind of, just kind of educate people more about recycling and the more modern guidelines that are happening with recycling, in an effort to help with solid waste. So that's one. We encourage people to register. We could send out some information for that. People can register to attend by a webinar. at home in the comfort of their homes or offices, or they can choose to, if they don't have access or they just would like to be around other people, we are hosting watch parties at the Cayuga Cornell Cooperative Extension office over near the Workforce Center with Dan and Evan will be there in person. We also have watch party locations in Seneca County and Schuyler County. So if people are interested in that, there's some press releases going out. Another opportunity that's related to agriculture and really all natural resources in general is on August 5th. There's a one-day workshop for anybody interested in GIS and drones, learning the tools for smart mapping. So over the last year, I've been working with, I'm working together with Abu Badurain, who is a GIS professor at Cayuga Community College. And I'm working with a PhD student from Cornell Agritech who's using drones to collect data on agricultural fields. And we want to, this is an opportunity from 9:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. It's a one-day workshop, $20. Includes lunch, pizza, salad, and a drink on August 5th. This is geared towards professionals in natural resources that would like to just kind of get their hands wet on the most modern GIS software and then also learn about drones and how they might be able to impact either your profession or agricultural fields or career development for youth. So we're really pitching this as an opportunity for people to learn an introductory basics, but also for people that maybe like myself haven't really used GIS since it was like ARC 9.3 and everything's online now. So kind of spending a couple hours on GIS in the morning and then transitioning to drones and in the afternoon. Each person will take a map home, learn how to make a map in the GIS labs at Cayuga Community College. And then also they're going to be flying drones, actual drones, taking photos and then learning how to either download that onto your phone or making a map out of those. So we're hoping to inspire farmers, ag people, youth, anyone that's interested to kind of learn this technology and maybe adopt it either for their profession at the farm or wherever. Finally, another water quality issue program coming up is the Cornell Climate Steward training that's going to be starting up in September. That's a statewide training kind of modeled after Master Gardeners and the Master Forest Owners program, but it's more climate change based, learning the science from people on campus. The application to participate as a volunteer in that program is open now in the month of July. So people become volunteers. We'll be selecting people in August, and then the training starts in September. There's more information at CCE Cayuga. I'm sorry, pardon me, CayugaCCE.org, right, Dan? And then you can find all that information there. Lastly, we certainly have the farm, but I'll the 4-H youth fair, but I'll pass that over to Dan. If there's any questions, let me know.
Brian, real quick, this is Carrie. Can you send Michelle brief summaries and links to all those awesome opportunities so that she can share them with all of us later, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Dan, you have anything on for it?
Yeah, so while Ryan is very busy with those programs, the rest of the staff is focused on our 4-H youth fair, which will be July 31st through August 2nd. If there's any organizations that want to set up a table or a display on the first or the morning of the second, that's usually the best time, so Friday or Saturday morning. Let me know, we'd be happy to get you a space and a table for that.
I'll reach out, but we'll probably want one for the strategic plan. That's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
idea. Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that one.
Yeah.
And that's August 1st. I'm sorry, you said, what was the date?
July 31st through August 2nd. And that's at the Union Springs Fire Department.
Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Seth's not here for Auburn. Ed's not here for a while. So, Lake Associations, Beaver Lake?
Yeah, real quick, Grayson talked about the apps, so I could do that. The Cayuga Lake Watershed Network annual meeting is going to be the week of, sometime the week of August 18th, probably that Monday or Tuesday, and that's going to be in Cayuga County on this year. It's going to be either at Trey Levin or maybe Brightly. So it'd be great because it's here, and it kind of be great if people can join us. Get more about that later. Also the network had an annual conference on June 25th. The attendance was good, and the presentations include DEC, CSI, on HABs and ESF. And the ESF presentation, I think, was the first one on a research study they did to identify microbial sources of phosphorus in Cayuga Lake. That was the first public presentation of that, wasn't it? As far as I know.
At the Healthy Waters Conference in Syracuse, there was a poster presentation about it as well. But that's the only other one I know of.
So, and there's going to be another one. I couldn't go because it was the day after primary, and even though it's a very small primary, it's one of those things with stuff that commissions have to deal with it. I don't know why. But we did. No, anyone can do it. The kind of thing is small primary, it did, but it doesn't matter. And so I couldn't go. But I understand it was recorded, but I haven't seen the recording yet. When that's available, we'll make sure to get it to y'all so we can go ahead. Because apparently that presentation, several of the presentations were very interesting, just like Grace's was today. So I think probably worth listening to. The August 11th from 6 to 8 is the Discover Cayuga Lake event to the end of the summer event to recognize and honor the watershed internship program. That's going to be at the Cayuga Nature Center. That's on the other side of Cayuga Lake. So anyone that's available should come to that. It's always nice to recognize the interns. And almost finally, next to finally, there's a public hearing on the Scipio Ventus, the Liberty Wind Project. The state is doing that on August 6th. It's at 6 p.m. at the Hilton Gardens. There's lots of discussion about that project relating to wetland issues and other environmental impacts. My understanding is that most of that discussion, most of the objections are people that are looking to object, quite frankly, as opposed to people that have genuine based, evidence-based or scientific-based concerns. Nonetheless, those are concerns in terms of how we're going to deal with all kinds of environmental issues, including water issues. And that public hearing then is the 6th. Yeah, what did I say, 6 p.m.? I'm not in town, but I'm going to send a written comment. But anyway, that'd be great. And then finally, beginning next month, because I had to miss a couple of meetings, I moved out to Tina Hunter, so maybe you probably know she was involved with Clio. Maybe probably still is for many years. She moved from Aurora to Ithaca, from the town of Ithaca, and then back to Aurora recently. So I reached out to her about an alternate. I couldn't come. I would have reached out to Grace. I didn't know you lived in Cayuga County.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
I live in Locke, right by Hemlock Creek.
Oh, you
So thank you very much for taking care of that. Mine is one of those houses that could be flooded. Thank you so much.
So but Tian's got great experience as well. So she'll be, as I say, she was following Clio for, I think, probably not since its inception, but very close to its inception. So great. So that's what I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. We have anyone here across Lake Seneca River?
No,
No. Duck Lake,
no.
Lake Cornwall.
Yeah, a lot of things. We did have on June 30th, Solitude did come and do our initial treatment of the lake. On the south end of the lake and small patch on both the east and west banks, about an acre each. We did, I think, a total of 18 acres. We seem to be down to that area. We do have a weed harvester working. I've got a couple of guys that spend a lot of their Saturday, all day Saturday, cutting the weeds in various places. We still want the Cayuga County one to come in because they're not, our weed harvester isn't able to get into, the inlet and outlet where it's all water lilies. So they haven't touched that, so that really needs to get done. The water level seems to be going down a little bit, about 6 or 8 inches. Not sure why, and somebody made a comment to me, they think somebody went down the bird sanctuary and took out one of the beaver dams, and they haven't built it back. Either that, or there's beavers north of the lake, the inlet, and they sometimes dam it up above, maybe holding the water back, so we haven't really explored that yet. But we're looking at it. We're still meeting with the town of Summer Hill, trying to get a tax district set up for the lake, so we can have a separate line item in the town's budget, so that we can treat and continue treating our lake, because with this treatment, we've wiped down our treasury. And, we raised this money by, talking to residents and getting donations. And, I kind of hate to go around and ask them again for, $20,000 again, so it's gonna be tough. So we may not be able to file for any treatment next year, but hopefully the year after. And I don't know if you remember, I think I talked a year or so ago, Stony Brook is coming in and doing testing for, they're doing a phosphorus test. We've got 2 sites, one on the east side, one on the southwest side, southeast side, and on the midwest side. 2 sites where they put it wells where they're testing the water both above the septic systems and below the septic systems, see if checking phosphorus going out of the systems. And they're coming back, it's supposed to be today or tomorrow. And they're gonna come to my house as well as the other 2 houses and drill another one at my house. Because they're looking into, there's a lot of clay in our soil, and they think that a lot of the phosphorus is being absorbed by the clay, and they want to study that, so I want to take some soil samples. So we're looking to see what that's going to bring out. Other than that, everything is good on the lake. We had a good 4th of July boat parade. Everybody's we did a ring of fire, and we've gotten everybody to stay using the burning flares. Gotten everybody to use the LED flares.
Everybody.
So
That's pretty impressive.
It is a great change.
we used to give out flares to everybody, and that there's polluting in the air. We started looking into it. We bought a bunch and gave people the website. Here's the website. We want to use these instead of the burning ones, and everybody seems to be doing it. Nobody had a burning flare. They were all which makes it nice, because the other flares last for like 10 or 50 minutes and they're gone. They usually put them out. They stayed on for hours.
And
It's quite nice.
there's no phosphorus in
And
them.
there's no phosphorus. That's a bad one. That's it.
All right, thanks. Amy, Alaska?
Yeah, just that our new website is up and functioning. That took a long time, but I'm very pleased with how it's looking. And as with all the other lake associations, it's a very busy time as we're involved with the various activities, have monitoring starting, the sea slap and trip sampling. We were involved in a parade last weekend, which is always building spirit and, wellness there in the community. We have a public forum coming up on the 6th of August. That's such a busy night, because I will be at the ORAS public hearing, for that. But I guess I should take a step back. Last month, I announced that we had our elections and that Dana Hall was coming in as president-elect and then president next year due to personal situations that have come up and arisen. He will not be taking that position. So we are having a strategy meeting of Allah's purpose, function, direction, what can we do, and leadership. because that's a concern with a lot of different groups, but we have a big void going on right now. So, more to come on that. But other than that, hey, we're staying busy trying to do as much as we can.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Thanks, Dan. I don't have anyone here for Skinny Atlas, right?
Yes, yeah.
Here.
Oh.
Oh, yes, sorry, finally.
Thank you. Like, Ann said, and everyone has been, it's getting very busy. As it was mentioned, the 9-element plan for Skinny Alice was finally approved in, last month. We also had a citizen science, showcase meeting to try to enlist some interested people and helping with the Lake Arhab monitoring starts this month. We are completing ESF is completing using our research quote, the bathymetric mapping, the underwater topography of the entire lake should be completed by the end of this year. We are in the process of commissioning a new milfoil boat, which was pretty much generously donated by some donors, and we've only got one to replace our several boats. But that's being put into commission. We do have our matting down for this year so far for the milfoil. Rachel DeWitt, who was our first official executive director, is going to attempt to complete a 16-mile swim from the south to the north end. Probably it's looking like July 21st to raise money for the Lake Association. Hopefully she could do it. She's working on it. And
Oh, my.
yeah,
It's, you can drive that far.
45 minutes for me to swim a mile. I mean, it would take 45 minutes for me to swim 1 mile.
yeah.
20 of them.
Yeah,
And
just,
she's an open water swimmer and she's out there practicing. And she was one of our first milfoil divers too. And her father, Bob, he's the chair of the planning board, Tom and Niles. And he is on our board and they'll have a lot of support.
yeah.
So hopefully she can do it.
Maybe I saw somebody swimming across our lake. I mean, I couldn't believe a 2-mile.
Yeah. Well, one winter when we froze over about 2009, I think, these 3 guys rode from the north to the south on the ice, completely with the fat tire bikes. Because I was out there walking across the Lords with my neighbor. And they said they would never do it again. Not because because the wind. They hadn't anticipated the wind,
Right.
right? But anyway, she's gonna give that a shot, and I think it's gonna be on the 21st. Depending on the wind, but she's figuring it's probably gonna be south to north. And on the 19th, we present in 2 locations. One is the West Side Lake Association's 50th annual meeting. That is Town of Niles Lakeside owners. And that's in New Hope. And then following that, down at the Glenhaven Historical Society at the South End. On Wednesday, July 23rd, we host another with the Finger Lakes Land Trust at the Skinny Atlas Brewery, where $1 towards every beer goes to the organizations, and do a joint presentation there. And the only other thing that's really come up recently is the big fish die-off along the lake, mostly going up into the north end. All sorts of fish, bullheads, trout. But the DEC seems to think it's just natural occurrence, or maybe with the heat. But there's been a lot of alarm about that because there's been considerable amount. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Is Brian the only one online, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have regional planning. Anyone got anything extra for Cayuga? Prism? Finger Lakes Watershed, DEC. This is gonna be fast. Yeah, you're up.
Sure. Thanks. I believe many of you are aware that the Owasco Lake Drinking Water Purveyors, the city of Auburn, town of Owasco, are underway with litigation with the New York State Department of Health concerning their want for updating watershed rules and regulations. The purveyors won their second case challenging the Department of Health's July 2024 denial of the rulemaking request concerning updating the rules and regulations. The court circulated its decision on July 3rd. So essentially what that means is the court's decision will require the Department of Health to come back to the table towards updating the rules and regulations.
Is that being appealed? That was one of my questions.
I believe there's a possibility, perhaps a strong possibility, there'll be an appeal that's currently unknown.
When was the decision? Was it,
It was the 1st of July.
and this is,
And
what
It's
is
10.
it? Oh, yeah, so there's still time. I think that there's definitely a time limit on those. I always think it was 10 days to file a preliminary. But maybe not. Does anyone know if it's,
I think the judge gave the state 60 days to respond.
60? Oh, okay. That's generous.
Right, also the Management Council will be closing on its second nature preserve. It's a 72-acre parcel in Venice, and that will be a closing as early as next week. We look forward to that. And in fact, that the parcel is located directly adjacent to the would-be Liberty Wind project. Okay. The 9-element coordination committee that's charged with driving implementation of our 9-element plan for phosphorus reduction for Wasco Lake is making progress towards finalizing a progress report for all the work we've done thus far. Our committee members, including the Cayuga County Soil and Water Conservation District and the New York State Ag and Markets, collaborated on tabulating ag BMPs for inclusion within the report. So many thanks, Doug, for your team for pulling those data together for the report. The Management Council's Owasco Inlet Stream Bank Stabilization Project should be getting underway with construction in the near term. The project team will hold a site visit next Friday, the 18th, to finalize plans and meet remaining needs for permit approval. So fingers crossed there, Doug. We'll see how that goes, right? It's
Permits are tough.
yeah, we're realizing that with this project. Our July board meeting is next Tuesday, and a resolution for onboarding the Cayuga County Water and Sewer Authority as an ex officio director will be considered by the board. That's all I have for today. Thanks.
Thanks. Anyone else have anything else to add? Yes, report.
I haven't, forgot to put this in my report. Anybody that's gonna be going to the Route 90 sales on July 26th, I think that's the last Saturday in the month. The Lake Association always has a barbecue at the Summer Hill Town Hall. We'll be doing that again this year, so if you want barbecue chicken.
If you get there.
Get there before 2 o'clock, like before 1 o'clock, if you wanna make sure you get something. We're usually sold out by 1 or.
Yes, you need to leave.
Huh?
If you're coming from King County from the south, you need to leave about 9 o'clock. So
Yeah.
make the trip. I made a mistake of driving to Cortland one year when doing Route 90. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. You get there, I have to go back way.
When they say chicken's ready at 11, you better be in line by 11 o'clock if you want chicken. Anything else from anybody?
I'm not here in August.
Well, poo. Oh, and I'm not either. We're out
Oh.
at the same time for
Yeah.
different reasons.
Yeah, and we had, obviously, there are a number of people. that-
Yeah, Ani won't be here and stuff.
So
Do we want to cancel August meeting then?
Yeah, do we think we should just do a motion for it?
Yeah,
does that require motion or simply?
I see.
I'll move that.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay.
This one.
Well, the motion, the friendly amendment, I don't think we should cancel the August meeting. I think we should have the August meeting in September meeting in October, and so on. That's just friendly amendment. You got that?
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense.
I'm not doing that.
No, that would amuse me. Probably no one else.
All right, all in favor for canceling / postponing the August meeting, delaying till September, regularly scheduled. Thank you. Unless there's anything else, motion.
Most adjourned.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.